everyone. I'm Mike Bowers, and I want to welcome you to the Small Business Breakthroughs for May of 2023. We are excited to have everyone here today. I think we've got a really cool topic, really cool presenters that can discuss some things. If you're not familiar, like I said, I am the director of the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College. Small Business Development Center works with entrepreneurs, small business owners, all the way from I have an idea to I've been in business for a number of years and I'm looking to kind of change up. I need to do some different things, or, I'm doing so well that I want to continue to grow and figure out how to do that. So we provide advising services. Those services are free of charge to the user. We also do a variety of training programs, and we are super excited to talk about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program today. Before we start, we want to bring in our partner in this endeavor, from the Dublin Entrepreneur Center, Susie Gillian. And if you want to kind of talk a little bit about the deck, Susie, some of the things that you got going on and some of the opportunities for folks to join in the things we're doing here at the deck. Okay, I'm not hearing you at the moment, so.
Oh, sorry about that. Unmute. As I was saying, as you can see, my green ceiling is the same as Mike's green wall behind him because we're in neighboring rooms. But so I'm the operations manager actually for Chaz Frutel, who is co-founder and director of the Dublin Entrepreneur Center. The DEC, otherwise known as that, is one of the oldest standing and largest entrepreneur centers around the country, we believe, and with over 100 businesses represented here even currently. As businesses start up and grow here at the DEC, we consider them graduates. And right now we have quite a few graduates, which leaves a lot of open spaces here at the DEC. It's more than just office space. It's a collaborative environment. There are events during the month where business owners can meet together, network, collaborate, or just social events that they can connect at. And spaces here range from a minimal monthly fee of a hotspot to small offices, cubicles, mid-side offices, large offices, and even window offices. So a broad range of opportunities here for whatever size in the development stage your business is. And all of the meeting rooms and even the training center are free for our tenants to use. So it really is a valuable space. And I know that Chaz would want to say how valuable having Mike here with the SBDC and Columbus State Community College, having him right on site, and this relationship is very valuable to all of the business owners here at the Dublin Entrepreneur Center, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we absolutely appreciate the opportunity to be engaged with the DEC, be engaged with really the tenants here at the DEC, the small business owners. It is really about building that network, and it's a great opportunity for small business owners to be able to have, ready-built mentors, for lack of a better word, where you can just stick your head in the door of another entrepreneur and say, hey, how are you dealing with these types of things and stuff like that. So it's a great environment, and we are excited to be part of that. We do have an office here at the DEC. I'm here, a few times a week. So we are really looking forward to continuing this, and we're looking forward to kind of continuing to build out with what we do with the DEC. I mean, everybody's kind of had to recover, had to kind of come out of this kind of COVID thing, different things like that. And we used to do, a lot of in-person training, a lot of different stuff here. And we're starting to kind of get back to that. So a lot of great opportunities for folks here. And as my coworker, Bruce Walters, often says, that anytime you're on a program with Mike Bowers, you got to be ready to talk. So Bruce, I want you to speak briefly, if you could, about the Small Business Spotlight program, because I think that's a really cool program that we do that people might be interested in.
Okay, be happy to. Yes, so I just talked about our Small Business Spotlight series. This is a program we offer once each month, and we take that opportunity to meet virtually with a business owner from Central Ohio to talk about what is involved in running their own small business, the challenges, the rewards, the various resources and perspectives that they bring to the table to help other small businesses be successful as well. Again, we do this every month. Those programs then are also recorded and published to our YouTube page. And I will drop in chat both links to our YouTube page as well as our upcoming spotlight. So if you're interested, I encourage you to sign up. They're great programs, 60 minutes at lunchtime, so you can bring your peanut butter and jelly sandwich and just watch. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, it's a really cool program because we bring small business owners in, small business owners a lot of times that we've worked with as an SBDC, and we really get to hear their experiences, and it's really valuable, I think, for the folks that are joining us. So today we're going to talk about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program. And Stephanie, I think you'll be proud of me that I actually added the Goldman Sachs part in there because I oftentimes forget that part. But we have Stephanie Hall. She is the manager of the program. And Stephanie, you were talking about before we got on that, this is like the fifth one of these cohorts that have happened in Columbus. But, and it is amazing because I remember being in the meetings about this when it first started, where somebody just kind of pinged, I think Shane or somebody in our offices, and we were able to kind of start thinking about what this could look like and what this could look like for the community. And it's been successful. And what I think is important too is it's been successful even through COVID. So you didn't stop trying to help entrepreneurs through that period of time. And the other thing I think that we might lose sight of here in Columbus is we have a great cohort here in Columbus that'll be starting up in the fall that's currently in recruitment mode. But this is actually kind of a statewide thing. So there's other programs that are done in kind of coordination. So they're not all jammed up against each other. So there's a different opportunity. So Stephanie, you want to talk a little bit about the program and get people up to date about what it is?
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike and Susie, for having us on. Always a pleasure to join you all. So yes, I oversee the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program here at Columbus State Community College. We are a grant-funded education program that works with small business owners in the Columbus area. And we operate a 12-week fairly intensive education program. And really what our goal is to help entrepreneurs kind of realize an opportunity for growth and kind of jump on that to help their businesses grow, which in turn, to help them create new jobs and economic opportunity in our local Columbus area. So, like I said, we work at Columbus State Community College, and we host our cohort each fall, which is why I am lucky enough I get to work with Mike and all the wonderful folks at the SBDC. It's like I have some built-in resources right in my own college. Mm-hmm. So we host our cohort from September through December of each year. And the way that we're set up, the cohort that we have, we are part of what Goldman Sachs has kind of coined as the Southwest Ohio Initiative. So while we host a cohort here in Columbus in the fall, we work very closely with Sinclair College in Dayton and Cincinnati State Technical and Community College, obviously in Cincinnati. So Dayton runs their cohort each summer. Currently, they just kicked theirs off 2 weeks ago. So they run from May to August. And then Cincinnati State hosts a cohort of the program from January to April. So our three sites kind of run in cycle with each other, and we share faculty among the three colleges and business support services kind of amongst those three colleges. So we work very closely with those other areas, and I'll get, which is really important, and I can get into that a little bit later, but also, kind of what Mike said, we are statewide. So in addition to Cincinnati, Dayton, and Columbus, There is also a site located at Cuyahoga Community College in Cleveland, and they've been running for quite some time now. I want to say, don't quote me, but I think maybe 8 or 9 years at this point, and they host cohorts year round. So, we're really unique and very lucky in Ohio in that aspect because, for all intents and purposes, we have 4 site locations for people to take part in the program. So, our program, there's a plethora of resources in the community, SBDC being, a very important one to help new startups and those with, an idea for a new business. Our focus is on kind of those, there are those businesses who have sustained for a few years and are now kind of more in that growth mindset and growth focused. So we're looking specifically at businesses that have been in existence for at least 2 years, have made $75,000 in revenue in their most recent fiscal year, and have at least 2 employees, one of whom can be the business owner. And obviously, located within Columbus and the surrounding communities. So that's kind of who we specifically, this program has been built for. The program itself is operated really kind of on a 3-tier, 3-pillar sort of focus. And so the first one obviously is education. We're an education program. As small business owners go through the program, and when we have the small business owners join, we call them scholars. So if I say scholar, that's kind of who I'm referring to. It's our terminology for those who are currently in the program. So, we have all of the scholars going through the program use their business as kind of that case study throughout the program. So it's somewhat likened to, an incredibly crash course MBA because we hit on all of the topics that would impact small business ownership and small business development, from accounting to negotiations, marketing, human resources, all of those kind of fit into our curriculum. And at the end of our program, the small business owners come out with a growth plan, very actionable that, the idea is that you can, jump in and put that into action pretty immediately. The second tier of our program is really around access to capital, which entails, really making small business owners aware and knowledgeable about different financial programs that are out there, grant opportunities, different, ways to access capital. And the other thing that we look pretty closely at is helping small business owners become more bankable and really helping them to position themselves to really access, being bankable in terms of being able to access capital and knowing how to position themselves in their business. The third pillar of our program is really around business support services. So every scholar that goes through our program, we pair them up with a business advisor for the duration of the program. So you have that one-on-one business advisory support. And additionally, and this is kind of where, places like DEC and the SBDC come in, we also look to really partner up with local area resources. We have panels where we invite people and resources from the community to come in and speak on specific panels. So it may be about business resources, or it may be a panel of bankers or different things like that. So we really want to connect those in the program to other resources in the community. I have a few statistics that were recently shared with me that I would, love to kind of touch on quickly. So thinking about the program nationwide, we're 10,000 small businesses. We now have 12,800 graduates, which is awesome for us. And so now we have re-upped that and we're rolling towards 20,000. Although we're going to stay 10,000 small businesses, and collectively, just to kind of show the impact of the program nationwide, of those 12,800 graduates, that accounts for about 17.3 billion in revenue annually and 245,000 employees nationwide. For the program specifically, for those that join the program with us and go through, we have a 96% completion rate. So for me, that just really kind of hits upon the, how impactful and important the program is really from day one. So not only do you come out with a growth plan at the end, but there's also, things throughout that you can immediately like put into your business. One of the new workshops that we have is on digital marketing. And that's one that, a lot of people we have found, kind of need help in, that digital world and can really, put some of that into action immediately. The other thing that we really find important in the program is the alumni collaboration. So a lot of the, the businesses that go through the program, about 85% of them end up doing business or working with somebody else who also went through the program. So it's that peer-to-peer network, not only is it education, but it's the peer-to-peer network that is also really important. And like I said, since we are part of this Southwest Ohio initiative, and this is kind of where it gets really cool for us in Ohio, we're located in Columbus, but because we work with business advisors and faculty who are also supporting the cohorts in Cincinnati and Dayton, we have linkages there. So, we're able to help facilitate connections from small business owners in different communities, just based on, some of the relationships that have been built throughout the other cohorts. And we have a really, we have a pretty close connection with Cleveland too. So, not only do we get to have alumni centered in our communities, but we really can take the time at times to look at it from a statewide perspective. So that's, 10,000 small businesses kind of in a nutshell. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and probably one of the most important things of all, so the program itself, for those who, there's an application process for the program. I mentioned what our criteria was. So there's a two-part process. First part of our application, very quick, takes about 10 to 15 minutes tops. It's just, some basic information about your business. If you qualify based on what, you have there, then we invite you in to interview and send you kind of an addendum. And this is a more lengthy application where you're attaching some supporting documents to back up, those things that you're supporting. And then we do have, before the program starts, we do bring in everyone who is qualified and who's filled out all the applications, invite them in for a 30-minute interview. I say interview, it's really just more of a informal conversation around you and your business. Nothing at all stressful. In fact, it is one of, aside from the very end of the cohort, when I get to hear all of our scholars' growth pitches, this is also one of my favorite days because I just get to hear about people and their business and all of the exciting things. And it really is amazing, like all of the exciting things that we've got going on in Columbus. But what I did want to mention is the program itself is completely free. So, for those who are admitted and go through, there's no cost to the small business owner other than their time, to attend the class, work through the curriculum. It's all, covered by our grant from the Goldman Sachs Foundation. So incredibly valuable there. So yeah, I hope that gives a good overview.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And I was waiting for you to kind of bring up that it was no cost to the business owner, because I know that with the SVDC, we have a similar type of thing where our advising services are no cost to the business owner, but I always forget to talk about that part. So, when I think about the program, it is a competitive program to get into. Not everybody's going to get into it the first time. Doesn't mean that you won't get into it, and it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your business or anything like that. Maybe you're just not quite ready or whatever. But that is one of the things that I think that is nice about it, especially here in Columbus, because of our partnership with the program. Individuals that don't make it the first time can come. We can, assist them, provide them some advising, and hopefully get them to the point where they're ready to go. I also know that a number of SBDC clients in the past have participated in the program, and we're always really proud of them that they've been able to jump in there. Talk a little bit about the curriculum. I don't, because you didn't really go into that, because a lot of times I see programs where they're, it's about, hey, you got to create a business plan or something like that. And, it's a contractor or consultant that has bought a program, and they teach the whole thing, and some of the pieces they're good at, some of the pieces they're a little weaker at. But with this particular program, I don't see that. I know that it's the faculty is really strong, and there's a variety of skill sets to there. So you want to talk a little bit about the robustness of the faculty in the program?
Oh, absolutely. So, the curriculum itself, like I said before, it's a fairly intensive curriculum. We are currently meeting back face to face again, thank goodness, kind of to mirror some of the, the struggles that others have gone through. So we held our first curriculum in 2019, and we're face to face. We graduated a great group of alumni in December of 2019. And then, of course, everything, immediately went virtual, right? So we held a couple cohorts virtually. And then last year, we're back in the classroom face to face. So with that classroom curriculum, we are meeting on Columbus State's campus for the most part on Fridays all day long. So each week, everybody kind of comes in and we run, there is 9 modules total in the curriculum. And then there's a few half days where we have, specific workshops. I think I mentioned the digital marketing clinic. That's a few hours on one morning. We do a clinic around negotiations, but the curriculum itself is taught by faculty at Columbus State, Cincinnati State, and Sinclair College in Dayton. And what we are able to do, having 3 colleges to find faculty from, so the faculty that teach each module are experts in, that's their primary focus. So we start off really, bringing everyone together. We have an orientation where we really go through, what do people want to get out of this? What do we want to see in the classroom? What's our culture? Really kind of building that network and that solidity around the group, because it's a safe space. And, we want people to be able to, speak openly about what they're doing and the challenges that they're facing. Immediately, then we go into looking at you and your business. We have a module on, recognizing growth and opportunity in your business. Then we kind of move into the financials and look at financial statements, money and metrics. And after that, we make a transition. And I think after looking at financials, people are ready to make that transition to more of the HR components of things. So we look at, you as the leader of your business, and the people that are under you. And then we kind of, from there swing back around to look at marketing. We focus in on being bankable and, crafting funding pitches and that sort of thing. And then we close out the curriculum, because as you're going through, each one of these modules kinds of builds on the other. So things that you might learn and talk about early in the program, it's not like you do that and then close the door and move into something, those things will come up again, and everyone will kind of see how things weave and they're all interrelated. So as you're going through, as small business owners are going through developing, what their opportunity for growth is and what that looks like, at the end, then we go through and we do growth pitches around what that opportunity might be. I'm trying to think. So we're in the classroom. The curriculum itself is designed, developed, continuously updated by Babson College in Massachusetts, and they're, one of the premier entrepreneurial schools in the country. It's a very structured curriculum. And, one of the cool things about it is, we have a very robust alumni community. And we have platforms, online platforms for alumni to connect with each other. So the curriculum that a scholar going through the program in Columbus or Dayton or Cincinnati, what they're learning is going to mirror exactly what a small business owner in Salt Lake City or New Orleans or New Hampshire is doing. So there's kind of this, everyone has a very similar experience in terms of what they're learning throughout the program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really impressed with the curriculum, because it, like you said, I mean, to get it right in the head, it's continually being updated. It's being bringing new thoughts, new content to it, and it's a robust program. So it's not, elementary, I guess.
No,
And
it's
that's part of the reason that you want to have experienced entrepreneurs in there.
exactly, and we, we aim to host cohorts that are very diverse. And I want to mention this too. So we really want our cohorts to reflect the community where we live, right? So we are not focused in on one industry or anything like that. So we are very diverse in terms of, any metric that you might think of. From, we could have people who are, own candy shops or dog walking businesses at this, in the classroom with people who are doing IT consulting work or, engineering, that kind of thing. It's very diverse, which is nice because a diverse mix of people brings diverse ideas to the table. But we also, even the education level of people who are attending the program are all over the place, from high school graduates to PhDs. And there really is something special about that diversity. So it's a very intensive program, but it's one that people, as I've been, part of these cohorts, there's always those light bulb moments, or, when people come back in with a win, like we'll do something, and the start of every cohort, we always ask, like, who had a win this week? Like, who has something great to share? And it's really nice to hear how some of the things that we've been working on in the program, makes people think or look differently at what they're doing, and may have a win that comes out of that.
Okay. And the last thing I want to ask you, Stephanie, before we go on to our business owner guest, there is food involved.
Oh, there's tons of food involved.
Okay.
So yeah, we do cater the whole thing. So we start early in the morning. God, I probably should have started with this, right? I could have gotten a lot of interest. I'll learn for next time. So we, our program, when we're in the classroom, our program runs, we start promptly at 8:30 and we finish, I want to say 5 o'clock, 5:30. Don't quote me there. I know that has kind of changed a little bit, but we start the morning by serving breakfast. So we invite everyone to come in. We start the class at 8, but we would like everyone to come in, a half an hour before, so that we can just informally have breakfast together, take some time to network. It's a great time for people to talk to each other. So we have breakfast, nice, hearty breakfast. Snacks, lunch, more snacks, coffee, drinks. By the end of it, I get a little bit spoiled and I think, well, who's gonna feed me now? Like, I'm done with this program.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And yeah, you're right. I think you have to start with the food.
I know. I don't know. Every time I mess that part up.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on. I want to talk to our small business owners. So we have Greg Manger from Costume Specialist, and Renee Coogan from ALE, which is Acquisition Logistics Engineering. And I'm going to ask each of you to tell us about your business, tell us about kind of you and how many employees you have in your business and things, but what attracted you to the program? We'll go ahead and start with Renee.
Hi, I'm Renee Coogan, President of Acquisition Logistics Engineering. We're a life cycle specialty engineering company located in Columbus. So basically we do analysis on equipment that's being designed for the Department of Defense and Homeland Security. We've got 30 employees. I have to say, when I started Goldman Sachs, I had 20 employees. So there's a little pitch for how great the growth plan actually works. I would say what attracted me to do it. I had assumed ownership of a family-owned business. It had been established for almost 30 years at that point, and it was kind of stagnant. And so after I had taken ownership with my husband, it needed to be torn down and built back up again. We needed to strategically think about how we needed to grow the business and make it ours for the next generation. So the Goldman Sachs attracted me to that because, as Stephanie said, you go through every aspect of your business, from the financials to the staffing to the leadership. And you come out at the end with this growth plan on how you're going to grow your business. I think the thing that really I didn't expect to get out of it is the alumni group that we have. And Greg was in my class, and we all still keep in touch. I've done business with the folks that I went to class with. And even though, as Stephanie mentioned, you're in a very diverse background, we had people who owned restaurants, people who had beauty shops, people who make costumes, we do engineering work. We all have the same problems as business owners. So even though we might produce different things, as a business owner, you're encountering the same issues. You know, how do I find the right staff? How do I train them? How do I turn a profit? You know, how do I get financing? And so being able to relate to other business owners that are going through all the same issues that you're going through just brought you a level of comfort, you know, confidence and comfort that I'm not going through this alone. So I would say the speakers, the quality of the speakers, as Stephanie mentioned, these are subject matter experts in their field. They brought in, I've never had so much access to politicians. They had people from the city council, they had state Congress people, the mayor came in. I mean, so you get access to people that truly can make differences for small people, for small businesses that are interested in actually helping your business to grow. So that, from that respect, I thought that was very beneficial also.
Yeah, great. Greg, kind of the same question for you, but since you guys were in the same class, when was this? When did you guys go through?
So, yeah, so we went through in the 2019 session. So, I mean, our timing couldn't have been better in terms of preparing for COVID and all that would has happened, because, shortly after, I think we graduated in December, and, that was just about the time everything was really starting to kind of unwind a bit. So, and I think that shortly, those first few months, we were still doing Zoom calls with groups within the cohort and talking about real life, like things that were happening on that day and how we were handling it. A lot of it being, HR, employee stuff, and just how we're dealing with the changes that were happening every day. But if I can, I'll go back and just kind of answer, what Renee did.
Sure.
I'm owner of Costume Specialists. So as you can kind of see behind me, we design and manufacture character costumes. So locally, we do all the stuff from the zoo, the symphony orchestra, many of the sports teams like Crew, Brutus. And then nationally and internationally, our clients are Michelin, Kraft, Hasbro, those things. So we're really proud of how we support not only Columbus, but what we provide to, national companies and international. And then recently, well, back in April, we did the new Easter bunnies for the White House. So those were the big unveiling back at the Easter egg roll. So that was a challenge, but the cool thing is, I mean, we have stuff in the White House, and when they're done with them, they will go most likely in the Smithsonian museum. So that's, kind of like, that's pretty cool. I mean, how many times do you get to work on something that's going to go in the Smithsonian? So, so Costume Specialist is a 40-year. We just celebrated 40 years of designing, manufacturing costumes. The history is from brick and mortar to manufacturing to theater. Now more of an online presence. So over those 40 years, we've had many adjustments. I started working at Costume Specialists back in 2002. So I really learned from sales, marketing, operations, running the business, and then I purchased the company from the owner. And that opened up the floodgates of the things I thought I knew, and then getting a hold of the reins, and you don't know what you don't know. And that was the biggest thing. I think several of us said that in the first day in our classroom, is we were self-aware to know that we didn't know what we didn't know. And that was the scariest part of running a business. If you know it, we have the mentality as we can fix that, but it's the unknown things that probably scare you the most. So education wise, I think the biggest advantage is you are not just looking at case studies. You are looking at how this stuff affects your business and how it affects your group's business. And I found that some of the best suggestions were, or some of the things that, like light bulb stuff, came from another person that was running a completely different business, and they would say, "Oh, have you ever thought about this?" And you're so into it, you're so focused on working in your business versus working on your business, that you kind of you don't see those things. And then probably the biggest thing, and again, the timing I talked about, is that peer network that Renee and I we focused on, and we used as a crutch. It was, I think, that, along with some other programs that I'm a part of, I mean, huge reason why we fared so well through COVID. And when I say fared so well, is we survived. So my business is, obviously, it's in person, that's characters, it's live entertainment, it's all of that. So that went away for 3 years. When COVID hit and the lockdown was put in place, I mean, every phone call that we had was either, cancellation or postpone, or I want a refund and stuff. So, I mean, those first couple months were frightening. But with support, we actually did. We found a way to make it through. And so we're a manufacturing company. We have designers. So we designed a mask and gowns and all kinds of PPE stuff. And we just started, we went through the building and packed up all the work that was being worked on, because we knew we weren't going to be working on it. That all went into storage, and we converted the whole building to making masks and gowns. And through Goldman Sachs, through some of the other organizations, I mean, we started getting some business, some contracts to make those things. And Renee mentioned access to politicians. I think one of the my favorite story is it was dark times. You didn't really know if things were going to come out of it. And my phone rings and it says, "This is Greg." And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "But this is Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I just want to let you know that I think you're doing a fantastic thing of converting to making PPE." And to get that call, I would have never gotten that call before Goldman Sachs. The connection that we had, and to get that phone call, I mean, man, talk about a jolt, a shot in the arm to get you going. That's pretty cool. So I think anybody that's on this call, you're probably self-aware that you need some help, or you're asking questions. And I would say, if you're on this call and you have that thought in your head that, hey, I might need some help, you're there. And I would certainly explore it. And I think you will be more than satisfied from what you get out of it. I mean, you're like any of us. Time is probably our most precious, item, and they are asking for time, but you'll get it back. So, probably covered some of that stuff. Mike, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So talk a little bit more about the time. So the time commitment, to go to the class. So that's an all day thing every week on a Friday. But, it's not just, okay, I'm going to go on Friday and then I don't think about it again until next Friday. So how did you deal with the time commitment? Because I know sometimes that's an impediment in people's mind to going forward.
Yeah, and for me, it was, I don't have a choice but to put the time in. I just had to, because I could fill my time, with running a business and working in the business. I could fill my time, I'd fill my time every day. And it's just about prioritizing what's going to pay the biggest dividends of your time. And so I think, the first session, it was, and I think most people we were in the classroom, but half of us were like, is everything going to be okay? We've left the building. Is and for me, my staff were, I told them what I was doing. They were super supportive and they're like, listen, we've got this, and so that it did allow them to kind of step up a little bit. But then I would say the second or third session, I was looking forward to Friday to going over, and I couldn't wait to give a rundown of what we did during the week. Or I thought about, hey, Renee said something last week and I have an idea about that. And so it was all of this. It was a club. You got there on Friday and you were able to, I think, freely share your thoughts. And I think that was probably another big positive thing about this program is you felt, in a lot of cases, you feel like you're going to be sold, who's selling me what today, right? When that wall comes down and you're able to, these people are vetted, I can trust Renee. I can tell her what's going on and she's going to tell me honestly what she thinks. Or so once you get there, once you realize that, I was looking forward to it. So
Renee, can you talk a little bit about kind of what happens in the class? Because it's not just going to a class, sitting at a table, Stephanie or anybody up on the whiteboard. What's going on in the class?
Yeah, as Stephanie mentioned, it's like an 8 to 5, and you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to sit in a classroom for that?
Right.
It's over before you even realize that it's 5 o'clock, because they have you working collaboratively with the group. So you might be listening to a speaker for maybe an hour or so, but then it's hands-on breaking down your business and applying what they were talking about. And so we were working on projects. We were working in partnership with our group to take the lessons and look at your business and how am I going to apply this? And as we said, you come out with a growth plan. Well, you're not sitting there at night typing out your growth plan every night to get the 75-page thing at the end. Each of the modules, as Stephanie mentioned, is the growth plan. So as you're putting your work into your computer on what did I learn this week and how am I going to apply this to my business? All you do at the end is hit print and out comes the growth plan. So so the time flies. It really does.
So I think it's interesting because, you talked about needing to kind of reset the business from, the previous, 20 or 30 years to where you were trying to go forward. And I remember when we were talking about some of this, what about this really helped you think proactively and be a little, able to create this more fresh approach going forward and getting away from, hey, this is the way we've always done it, or things of that nature?
Yeah. So what they have you do is you identify an opportunity for growth within your company. And when they have you identify it, you have to break it down to, how am I going to implement this? Do I need to hire more people? Is my space going to be big enough? Do I have to have special training or certifications to do that? Who's going to be my competition? How am I going to market it? What kind of financing do I need in order to do that? So it's taking it from the idea phase to the execution phase all the way through with the growth plan. And even if you don't choose to implement that particular idea at the end, it is a mindset that any other idea that you have, you put it into the same process and determine, okay, is this something that's going to give me a good return on investment or not? Should I execute it? And that's what happened with mine. It's like I had one idea in my growth plan as I went through Goldman Sachs, but when I came out of it, I actually executed a whole nother idea. But I went through the same process to figure out, who do I need to have? How am I going to do this? How am I going to finance it? How am I going to market it? And so it's a process that you can apply to anything, even after you finish the course.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned there's opportunities for growth. So Bruce from our team will tell you that I'm really big on giving them opportunities for growth, but that typically just means I'm giving them more work. So I don't know that that's the case here. Greg, talk about, again, your business, because you talked about kind of the process you went through and some of the things that you did, but where do you see, obviously COVID was a big part of this in the middle, but where your business was in 2019 and where your business is here in May of 2023, and what do you see going forward that, this program helps you formalize?
Okay. And like Renee, my plan coming out of that was something completely different, but again, it's it's teaching us how to fish, right? So things have, 2020, 2021, even 2022, just upside down for us, and is really kind of survival mode. But I felt like that Goldman Sachs really still gave me those tools financially, right, to understand if things are going up, down, or horizontal, right? But what's happened is our industry and some of the things that has happened is my competition maybe has not been as run as well as I've been able to run this business. So there's a lot of growth opportunity to take on more of that because of what I've learned through Goldman Sachs. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're kind of in the middle of now, is the dust has settled and there's a lot more opportunity for us to kind of go into markets that we didn't really take advantage of because someone was there before and really had it locked down. Well, now that person is gone. And now we can go into some of these other areas and take advantage of that. So we are still trying to build back. We have not, in terms of numbers of employees, I think this recent payroll, we're at like 34. And we were at the depths of COVID, we were down to 18. And so where we're building back up to is in that 45 to 50 range. And so as we are building back, we are building like smarter. There are certain positions that have been modified, changed, and again, all of those are going back to the program is what makes sense. How is this going to the investment going to return a positive effect to the company? So I would say last year we had a huge growth, and this year we're seeing that continue, maybe not as steep as last year, but still a very, very solid growth that we're taking advantage of in terms of revenues and building back more employees.
Yeah, Stephanie, let me ask you this. So they both mentioned this peer-to-peer kind of support. And my experience has been for existing business owners have been doing this a lot. You know, you can take content and you can do different things like that, like the program does, which is great. But a lot of times that these individuals are going to be able to get more out of the peers and the folks that are there. And in the case of this program, these are entrepreneurs that are in very similar business space to them, not the same, areas of them per se. And what are your thoughts on the types of entrepreneurs that get in there and how they interact? And then secondly, how do people really get involved with this program? Because I know that you're in the middle of recruiting now. So how, when, what, all of those things.
So, thinking about the peer-to-peer component of it, it is something that we do take really seriously. So, we have this, weeks-long curriculum. We have kind of a attendance around it, right? We want people to be present and turn up. And it's something that we're very transparent about in the interview process. We understand that, we're all humans, right? And things happen and we have things going on, but we really want scholars to be in the classroom and really miss no more than 2 sessions at the most, because that's a significant chunk of the entire curriculum. So, one of the interesting things I think, when we look at the different types of business owners that come in. So while we have that minimum revenue, requirement of 75,000, that used to be a little bit higher. Actually, we initially accepted small businesses who were at 150. And just because of the impact that COVID has had on everyone across the board, we lowered that a little bit because we were finding that, businesses at one point were doing great. And then through no fault of their own, right? We had this really unique period of time. So that's been lowered a little bit to, open that opportunity up some. So while we have some of those earlier stage businesses that take place, we also have businesses that have been in operation for quite some time and have, $1 million+ in revenue. And so you have some businesses that might have 3 employees and others who might have 100 employees. And I think that those different, depending on where they're at and what they're doing, they bring something different to the table, right? So a lot of times those early stage businesses are really just like plugging at it and are super innovative and ready to go. And then you have some businesses that have been around for quite some time and kind of like what Renee said, it's time to tear it down and redo, build things back again. And so, some of the ideas and different ways of looking at things, kind of comes across in that peer-to-peer relationship. And really, building upon that, just being in that room. And I think a lot of the organic conversation that takes place at individual tables, large group as a whole, you have these like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Or, so it's just some of that organic conversation, I think, that really kind of takes place. We've seen, I know that Greg and Renee both talked about staying in touch with the people who were in their cohort and beyond. We've had cohorts where people have gone through and will end up sitting on each other's advisory boards, or, they get together to have a sounding board discussion about what's going on. Or I know in one cohort, people completely changed what they were doing and opened a business together. And so it's just, a lot of these things where industries kind of connect in very interesting ways is super exciting. So I don't know. I hope I answered, part of that question there for you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to start wrapping up here. So Stephanie, specific question.
Yeah.
How do people apply?
Absolutely. So I know that I think Bruce put our website in the chat. You can go there. The easiest way, if you're ready to make the jump and apply, 10ksbapply.com will take you directly to our application. If you visit our Columbus State website, you will find detailed information around what our actual, we have our fall schedule posted on there so you can see when all the meeting days and times are. We have a synopsis of each one of the curricular modules that we go through, as well as links to apply, what the eligibility criteria is, and a little bit about our delivery team, the faculty, and that kind of thing. So that I love to direct people there just because it gives you more specific information around our program here in Columbus.
And how long do they have to apply?
Oh, that's a great question. So we are currently accepting applications through June the 16th for that part 1. I'm a little bit flexible there. So, you know, if we have someone kind of come in at the tail end, you know, I've got a little bit of playroom there, but June the 16th is currently our advertised deadline.
Okay, great. So one, if you're interested in applying or being part of this, there is some, you have to have certain things. So you got to have, what you say, 75,000 in revenue the last year, and 2 employees, one of which can be the owner. Is there anything else?
Yeah, so when I say, so yeah, we're looking for businesses that has been in existence for at least 2 years, so that we can document, you know, some of the trajectory of growth. We're looking at $75,000 in revenue in the most recent fiscal year. We're looking for 2 employees, at least 2 employees, one of whom is the business owner. The biggest reason for that is you are removing, and I think Greg touched upon this, you are removing yourself from the business. We don't want anything to negatively impact your business while you're in the classroom. We want you to be able to focus on what you're doing that day in the classroom. So we want to be able to make sure that there is somebody there that can cover for you while you're out. So that's kind of the rationale behind those 2 employees. And we are looking for businesses that are in our local area. Now, I can say, you know, it's not like okay, check, you meet these 2 criteria, but not this one, you're out. We look at those, you know, those are kind of our guiding criteria, but we look at them holistically. So, you know, if there's extenuating circumstances, maybe you made $150,000 in revenue, you know, a year ago, and then this most recent one, you made a little bit less, you know, we kind of look at the big picture. So those are, you know, those are our criteria. But again, we want to just get a broad view of what you look like. And then, you know, I should have mentioned it earlier. Another super important thing is we really want to work with small business owners who have a desire to grow their business and, you know, ultimately try to hire more people, right? That's, you know, really what this is all about is building on that economic opportunity in Columbus.
Great, thank you. So I encourage everyone to take a look at the program. If you meet the kind of minimum requirements and you think this might be good for you, take a look at it and see if this is something that you feel may benefit you. If you have questions, obviously you can go to the site, you can get a lot of information. I'm assuming, you know, Stephanie makes a whole lot of money. She's like, you know, she just does this for fun, but reach out to Stephanie and get with her, and she can answer your questions, can give you some sense of what's going on. Because if you are interested in really getting in, get in, be in 100%, be ready to grow and build your business out. So I encourage you to do that. And, you know, hey, if it's not going to work out for you now, and you don't have time to do this, or you're not quite to where it needs to be, then, you know, get yourself set up to go into either one of the other cohorts or into the next fall cohort. Get your business up and running, get your business where it needs to be so that you can participate. So I encourage you to do that. I think this is a great program. I think it is really helpful. I know that a number of our staff goes and participates in the panels. I've done that. Ellen Harvey goes in a couple of times to do different things. So I encourage you to take advantage of this because I think it is really important. And I want to thank Greg from Costume Specialist. I want to thank Renee from acquisition, logistics, engineering. I think you guys brought a lot of great knowledge about the program today, and we're really excited about what you guys are doing here in Central Ohio, because I think you're making a difference not only for the people that work for you, but you're making a difference in the community too. So thank you for everything that you're doing. I also want to thank the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center for their support of this program. I see Chaz Fertel has jumped in, so he and Susie do amazing work. Don't hesitate also to reach out to them. So if you're interested, you maybe need some space, or you want to kind of figure out what's going on here at the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center and how you can kind of plug in, again, reach out to them, because that's what they're here for, and that's what they do this for. They have a passion to support small businesses like all of us do. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you all at the next Small Business Breakthroughs in June, as well as our small business spotlight programs coming up. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to contact us at the Ohio SBDC at Columbus State Community College. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you all.